The station platform in Red Rock was no place for dreams. Not that day. Dust swirled in the autumn wind, catching in the skirts of a young bride who stood alone. Her white dress, once crisp, once hopeful, was wrinkled from travel. Her veil, askew, her gloves smudged with soot. She clutched a small trunk and a bundle of letters that had promised her love, security, and a new beginning. Letters signed with a name she had whispered to herself on sleepless nights. Henry. But Henry never came. Sound of the train whistle echoing as a departing train pulls away, leaving silence. The last train shrieked and rattled down the tracks, its iron wheels screaming against the rails. With it went the last flicker of hope that her groom would arrive. The station fell quiet. Only the bride remained. Whispering voices fade in, townsfolk gossiping nearby. Woman's voice whisper, "That poor thing, she's been waiting all day." Man's voice low chuckle, "Mail-order bride, left behind before she even stepped into a parlor. That's a hard lot." Second woman, hushed, pitying. "She looks no older than 20. Bless her heart." Clara tried not to hear them. She turned her face away, eyes fixed on the empty horizon. Her chest ached, the letters in her trembling hands crumpling under her grip. "Clara," whisper, breaking voice. "No, he'll come. He promised." But the wind only answered, carrying away the last train smoke. The station master, a heavy-set man with an impatient brow, cleared his throat and stepped forward. Station master, gruff, practical. "Ma'am, you can't stay here all night. This ain't a boarding house." Clara, softly, pleading, "Please, just a little longer." Maybe something delayed him. Station master, sighs. "Trains are done for the day. If your man was coming, he'd have been here by now." The words struck like a hammer to her chest. Reality pressed down on her, heavier than her trunk, heavier than the veil that suddenly felt like a mockery. Clara sat on the bench, the wood cold beneath her. She pressed her face into her gloved hands. Her shoulders shook as sobs escaped her lips. No one moved to comfort her. No one offered a kind hand. Only whispers, only stares. Slow, heart-aching violin fades in under-narration. Clara had left everything behind. Her family farm, the safety of her small town, the known world she had grown up in. She had boarded a train on the strength of those letters, believing them to be the bridge to her new life. But here she was, a bride without a groom, a woman unwanted, tears soaked through her gloves, falling into the dust at her feet. "Clara," broken whisper, what am I to do now?" The lamps flickered as the sun sank low. Shadows stretched long across the platform. The station emptied, one by one, until Clara sat alone in the growing dark. Her sobs echoed against the wooden walls, mingling with the distant cry of coyotes. No one stayed. No one cared. And Clara's heart sank to its lowest, until a pair of small footsteps padded across the planks. The sound of a child's hesitant steps draws near, fading into silence, right as the chapter closes. And that was when fate placed a child before her, a boy whose words would change everything. Chapter 2, The Watchful Eyes. Soft, eerie wind across the open plains. The faint creak of the station boards. Clara's quiet sobbing in the background. Then footsteps. Small, hesitant. At first, she thought it was the station master returning, or one of the townsfolk come to push her along. But the steps were too light, too soft. She lifted her tear-streaked face and found herself staring into the wide, curious eyes of a little boy. Soft child's breath, then silence. He couldn't have been more than 7, his trousers patched at the knees, boots scuffed, shirt untucked. His hair, sun-bleached from long days under the western sun, stuck out in stubborn tufts. He stood just a few feet away, studying her with that fearless curiosity children carry, the kind that slices through pretense straight into the heart. Clara sniffles softly. Hello there." Pause. Child's voice, innocent and sure. "Eli, Mama?" The word hangs heavy, echoing in the quiet station. Clara froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Clara, soft, shaken. "What did you say?" Eli steps closer, whispering. "You came back. Gasps and murmurs ripple in the background as a few onlookers overhear. Woman's voice hushed. Oh, Lord above, did he just call her mama? Man's voice astonished. That Hayes boy always said his mama would return. The boy's eyes shone, bright, unblinking, filled with the kind of faith that made Clara's chest ache. He stepped forward, wrapping his small arms tight around her waist, pressing his face in her dress as though he'd found the missing piece of his world. Clara's hands hovered in the air, trembling, unsure if she should push him away or hold him close. Clara, softly, trying to steady her voice. Sweetheart, I think you've mistaken me. I'm not. Eli interrupts, muffled against her dress. Papa said you'd come back. I knew it. I prayed every night. Clara gasps. Her breath catches. Her throat tightened. What could she say? This child, this lonely boy, believed with all his heart that she was the answer to his prayers. The townsfolk stood frozen, watching. Some shook their heads. Some whispered pity, but no one dared interrupt. The station master clears his throat gruffly, breaking the silence. Eli Hayes, what in blazes are you doing here? This lady ain't your ma. Eli, defiant, pulling tighter against Clara. Yes, she is. Don't you see? She came back. Clara's heart twisted. The child's grip was desperate, as though letting go would mean losing her forever. Her hands, on their own accord, settled gently on his small back. And in that moment, she realized something. She had been abandoned, left behind, unwanted. But to this boy, she was someone worth claiming. Clara, whispering more to herself than anyone. Oh, child. The crowd shifted uneasily. They knew Eli's story, how his mother had died, bringing him into this world, how he had grown up with only his father's stern hand and his own fierce imagination to keep hope alive. Old woman in the crowd, murmuring, he's always said it, that she'd return someday. Poor boy. Clara's tears came anew, not for herself this time, but for him, for the loss he carried, and for the strange, fragile thread of fate that had tied her to his longing heart. The station master softened, shaking his head. Station master, gentler. Well, I reckon it's too late to send her packing tonight. Miss, you can take shelter inside, just till morning. Clara nodded faintly, still clutching the boy to her side. She tried to speak, tried to correct him again, but when she looked down, his eyes were closed, his small body sagging with relief. He had fallen asleep against her, and for the first time since she stepped off that train, Clara did not feel entirely alone. She did not yet know his father. She did not yet know what this boy's desperate hope would demand of her. But one thing was certain, her life would never again be her own. Chapter 3. The Rancher's Son. Night sounds, crickets chirping, a lantern flickering, the wooden creak of the station office. Soft breathing, Eli asleep. The station master's lantern cast a tired glow across the empty benches. Inside the depot office, Clara sat with her trunk at her feet, and the boy curled against her side, fast asleep. His small hand clutched the folds of her dress, as if afraid she would vanish if he let go. Clara stroked his hair, her heart torn between bewilderment and something she could not name. A whisper of wind rattles the window shutters. Clara, softly, to herself, you poor, sweet child, what a dream you must live in. Her own reality felt like a nightmare. Betrayed, stranded, with no coin, no kin, no safe place to turn. Yet somehow, she was someone's mother tonight. The boy stirs, murmuring in his sleep. Eli murmuring, Mama, don't leave me again. Clara pressed a hand over her mouth to keep from weeping aloud. How could she correct him? How could she shatter the fragile joy written across his sleeping face? The station master, seated behind his desk, cleared his throat. Station master, gentler than before. You'd best be careful, miss. That boy's been cowing out for his mama since he could talk. Folks hereabouts, well, they pity him, sure, but pity don't fill a belly. Clara, hesitant. His mother, she's gone? Station master, nods, solemn. Died birthing him. You don't remember her, but he's made her alive in his head all these years. So she'll come back someday. Pause. Clara lowers her eyes, gripping the boy tighter. The truth cut deep. This wasn't mistaken identity. This was a child's desperate hope latching onto her, a stranger. Yet in his arms, she felt something stir. A faint, aching echo of belonging. As the hours crawled toward dawn, the depot grew colder. Clara shivered, her wedding dress no shield against the prairie chill. But Eli, small and warm against her side, slept soundly. For the first time since stepping off that train, she did not feel invisible. Morning bird song slowly fades in. The morning sun broke across the plains, spilling gold through the depot windows. Clara's eyes were heavy, but the boy was already awake, bright-eyed, hopeful. Eli, smiling, tugging her hand. "Come on, Mama. Pop will be so glad you're here." Clara gasps, startled. Clara, soft, urgent. "Sweetheart, listen to me. I'm not your—" She stops. His smile is too wide, too certain. The word dies on her lips. Before she could finish, the sound of boots thundered on the platform. Heavy, purposeful, a man's stride. The depot door banged open. Wooden door slam. The creak of spurs. There he stood, broad shoulders filling the frame. Dust clung to his coat. His jaw was set like stone. His eyes sharp, weary, commanding. The boy's father. Eli, running forward, jubilant. "Papa! Papa! She came back. Mama's here." Clara rises quickly, trembling. The man's boots scrape as he freezes at the sight of her. The rancher's gaze fell on Clara. His eyes darkened, narrowing with disbelief, suspicion, and something else buried deeper. Rancher, low, stern. Eli, step away. Eli, grabbing Clara's hand, defiant. "No, don't you see? She came back, just like I said." Clara's heart pounded. This was no longer a child's game. This was a father's grief colliding with her broken fate. The room held its breath. Clara opened her mouth to speak, but her voice faltered. And in that instant, the weight of a child's faith and a man's guarded heart locked Clara's path to theirs. Chapter 4. The rancher appears. Low rumble of boots across the wooden floor, spurs clinking faintly. The depot air feels heavier, the hush of onlookers pressing close. The silence after Eli's cry was a silence that cut. The boy's words, "Mom is here," hung between them like smoke that would not clear. Samuel Hayes, rancher of the Red Rock Plains, filled the doorway. His broad frame was hard with years of labor. His face chiseled by grief and the sun. His eyes, sharp and guarded, yet carrying shadows too deep for a stranger to read. And in his son's outstretched hand, a woman. A bride who had no groom. Boot scrape. Samuel's voice, low and restrained. "Eli, let go of her hand." But the boy clung tighter, shaking his head. Eli, pleading. "No, Papa. She's Mama. She came back, just like I said she would." Samuel's jaw tightened, the muscle flickering. His eyes flicked to Clara, disheveled, pale, her wedding gown a symbol of abandonment rather than celebration. For a long moment, he said nothing, only studied her. Clara swallows hard, her voice soft, trembling. "Clara, sir, I'm not." Eli, interrupting, fierce. "Don't say it, Mama. You promised you'd come back to me. And here you are." Clara gasped softly, her eyes brim with tears. The boy's conviction pierced her heart. Clara had been left behind, discarded. Yet in this child's eyes, she was wanted, needed. Samuel stepped forward, his boots heavy against the wooden planks. He crouched, placing a strong hand on Eli's shoulder. Samuel, firm, quiet. "Son, this woman is not your mama." Eli, desperate, shaking his head. "Yes, she is. Look at her. I told you she'd come back." Clara presses her hand to her mouth, fighting tears. Samuel rises, his gaze locking with hers. Their eyes met, and though Samuel's words were hard, there was something behind them. Not cruelty, not disbelief, but fear. The fear of letting hope live where it had once been buried. Samuel, low, controlled. "Miss, you have my apologies. My boy, he don't understand." Clara, whispering, shaking her head. "No, it's all right. He's just lonely." Samuel's brow furrowed. His hand twitched at his side, as though he longed to reach for his son, or perhaps to push this stranger away. The station master cleared his throat. "Station master, to Samuel. Found her here last night. Bride, come on the evening train. Fella never showed. Been sitting alone till your boy marched right up and claimed her as kin. Samuel exhales sharply through his nose, a sound between disbelief and pity. Samuel, quiet, clipped. Figures. His eyes flicked again to Clara, seeing the crumpled letters still in her hands, the tear stains on her cheeks, the humiliation she tried to hide. He turned back to Eli, voice lower, heavy with warning. Samuel. Eli. She ain't your mama. Stop saying it. Eli's voice breaks, a sob erupting. Eli. You're wrong. You're wrong, Papa. She is. She has to be. He clings to Clara's skirt, burying his face. Clara kneels, wrapping her arms around him instinctively, her own tears spilling. Clara, softly, to Samuel. Please don't tear him away. Not yet. Just let him believe. A beat of silence. Samuel's breathing tightens. He turns, pacing once across the depot floor, then halts. His boots grind against the dust. Samuel Hayes was a man of honor. He lived by work, by duty, by truth. But staring at his boy, the boy who had known only loss, Samuel felt the sharp weight of choice. He could break his son's heart with truth, or let this stranger's presence carry the lie a little longer. Samuel exhales, voice deep, reluctant. Samuel, you got someplace to go, miss? Clara, after a long pause, whispering. No. Samuel, any family here? Clara shakes her head, softly. None. Silence. The sound of wind outside, a horse whinnying faintly in the distance. Samuel's gaze hardened, yet behind his eyes flickered a shadow of mercy. Samuel, quiet, heavy. Then you'll come. Just for now. To the ranch. Until you find your way. Clara gasps softly, hand her chest. Eli lets out a joyful cry. Eli, beaming. See, Mama? Papa believes it too. Clara looks up at Samuel, torn between gratitude and fear. Samuel looks away, jaw set tight. And so it was decided. The abandoned bride would not be left at the station. But she was stepping into a world where truth, grief, and hope collided like storm clouds over the prairie. Chapter 6. Whispers on the Wind. Sounds of church bells faint in the distance. Murmurs of townsfolk. Wagon wheels on dusty streets. In small towns, news traveled fast. And scandal traveled faster. By the end of the week, every whisper in town carried Clara's name. Two women's voices hushed gossipy. Woman 1. Did you hear? She was left at the depot. Bride unwanted. Can you imagine? Woman 2. And now she's living out at the Hayes Ranch, playing house with that boy. Folks say Samuel took her in. Some say more. Their laughter fades as Samuel leads Eli and Clara through town. Clara's cheeks burn. She keeps her head down. Eli glares at the women, then clutches Clara's hand tightly. Eli defiant. Don't listen, Mama. They don't know nothing. Clara forces a smile, though her eyes glisten. Clara, whisper. It's all right, Eli. Transition. Back at the ranch. Evening sounds. Cicadas. Wind through dry grass. Samuel sharpens a tool on the porch. Clara stands nearby, folding laundry. The silence between them is heavy. Samuel, gruffly. You hear what they're saying. Clara, quiet, tense. Yes. Samuel, shakes head. Truth is, maybe I shouldn't have brought you here. Folks get to talking, Eli hears it. It'll only hurt him worse when. Clara, cutting in, emotional. When I leave, is that all you think I am? Samuel? A burden you regret? A pause. The whetstone stills. Samuel looks up at her, his voice low, conflicted. Samuel, I don't regret bringing you, but I do regret how fast that boy's gotten to think of you as his whole world. Clara whispers, trembling. And what about you? The question hangs in the air. Samuel's jaw tightens. He says nothing, only sets his knife aside and walks into the house. Clara's shoulders sag. She blinks back tears. Later that night, creak of a door opening. Eli's small footsteps on the floorboards. Clara's soft gasp as she finds his bed empty. At dawn, Clara's heart lurched when she found Eli's bed empty. Clara's panicked voice calling into the wind. Clara, Eli, Eli, where are you? Samuel's boots pound across the porch. His voice sharp, urgent. Samuel, he ain't in the barn. Dog's gone too. Must have run off toward the creek. Clara's breath shudders, her voice breaking. Clara, he thinks I'll leave. He must have. Oh, Samuel, we have to find him. Transition, rushing water, rustling grass, frantic voices. Eli's sobs are faint in the distance. Clara calls out desperately. Clara, pleading. Eli, sweetheart, please come back. Eli's choked voice, hiding near the creek. Eli, no. If you go, Mama, I'll have nothing. You can't leave us. Clara runs to him, kneeling in the grass, pulling him close. She sobs softly into his hair, rocking him. Clara, fierce through tears. I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever. Do you hear me? You're mine, Eli. My boy. Eli clings to her desperately. Samuel approaches slowly, his voice gruff but thick with emotion. Samuel. He's mine, Clara. But you become his too. A long pause. The sound of the creek fills the silence. Clara looks up at Samuel, eyes shining. For the first time, his walls seem to falter. His next words are softer, vulnerable. Samuel. And maybe you've become something to me as well. They walk back to the ranch together, Clara carrying Eli, Samuel steady at her side. The dog trots ahead, tail wagging. Music swells, tender, aching, hopeful. The gossip still lingered in town. The past still loomed behind them. But on that walk back under the rising sun, 3 souls moved as one. And though none dared to speak it aloud, a family had begun to take root. Chapter 7. The Family We Choose. Morning sounds, a rooster crowing, wind over the plains, a ranch dog barking faintly. Inside the Hayes home, the table is set for breakfast. The quiet is warm, lived in. The days that followed brought a fragile peace. Clara rose early with Samuel, baking bread, tending to the garden, stitching worn shirts by lamplight. Eli followed her everywhere, his laughter filling corners long empty of joy. But peace, like the prairie wind, never lingered long. The town was watching, waiting, and Samuel Hayes knew it. Transition, sound of wagon wheels rolling into town. Murmurs rise as Samuel, Clara, and Eli step down together. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Townswoman hushed. There she is, still at his side. Townsman, a bride without a groom, playing house on another man's land. Eli clutches Clara's hand tighter, his voice trembling. Eli, don't listen, Mama. Clara, softly, with resolve. I won't, Eli. Not today. They step into the general store. The room stills. Eyes linger. The weight of judgment hangs thick. Samuel had never been a man for words, but silence now would be surrender. Footsteps on wood. Samuel turns to face the crowd. His voice is deep, steady, carrying the weight of truth. Samuel, you've all had plenty to say. About her, about me, about my boy. But hear me plain. Clara stays. Murmurs ripple. Someone scoffs. Samuel's voice grows stronger, sharper. Samuel, she may be come here alone, left behind by a man with no honor. But she didn't stay alone. She's worked this ranch. She's cared for my son. She's cared for me. That's more than I can say for most. Silence. Clara blinks rapidly, tears shining. Eli beams up at his father. Samuel pauses, his next words softer, more vulnerable. Samuel, and if anyone's got something to say about her living under my roof, they can say it knowing she does so with my blessing. With my name. The crowd stirs, surprised. Clara gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. Eli's eyes go wide. Clara, whispering. Samuel. Eli crying out, joyful. Mama, Papa wants you to stay forever. Clara kneels, pulling Eli into her arms, then looks up at Samuel with trembling lips. Clara, do you mean it? Truly? Samuel steps forward, his hand lifting her gently from the floor. His voice is low, raw with honesty. Samuel, I mean it. You came here a stranger, but you become our family. Mine if you'll have me. Tears spill down Clara's cheeks. Her answer is barely a whisper, but sure as a vow. Clara, yes. The store exhales at once, some nodding in quiet acceptance, others still whispering. But the judgment no longer matters. Clara, Samuel, and Eli stand together, unshaken. Transition, evening on the ranch. Crickets sing. The family sits on the porch, lantern light glowing. Eli leans sleepily against Clara, his small voice soft. Eli, Mama, you came back to me, just like I prayed. Clara, kissing his hair, whispering, I'll never leave you, my sweet boy. Samuel watches, quiet, his gaze softened by something long denied. He reaches over, covering Clara's hand with his. On the edge of the red rock plains, where sorrow had once lived, laughter bloomed again. And though fate had written a cruel beginning together, they chose a new ending. No longer abandoned, no longer lost. A bride, a son, a rancher, bound not by chance but by love. Music swells, tender, hopeful, final. For in the silence after grief, sometimes family is not found. It is made.